Didn't make the beep. Isn't that weird?
Oh, is it going?
Yeah.
Oh, I know. I live and die by the beep, but I trust you that it's recorded. Okay, I am going to call to order this meeting of the Mount Piscataway School District Board at 6:31 p.m. on this Monday, September 9th, 2024. Our first order of business is changes or additions to the agenda. And I do have one, is that we are actually going to table school clerk update item 6 until next month. Because Elizabeth was going to update us and she will not be here. Oh, hi, Amy.
Can you let me do it?
Any other changes or additions to the agenda?
Good. You should be in.
This is still, but I think that it'll come out.
All right. Next up, we are going to, my apologies, let me just get to the packet here. Next up, we're going to approve the minutes from August 5th, 2024. Get to that.
I'm not in, but it doesn't matter. Because I can see.
Okay. I'm not getting a message from you, Nancy. It was.
It just says you'll be able to join in a moment connecting. Please wait.
Okay. Let's take a minute.
Usually just do it when there's something.
Okay, so I'm just taking one more look at the minutes from August 5th, but has everybody had a chance to look at those? Any changes or additions before we approve the minutes from August 5th? Okay. I will take a motion to approve the minutes from our meeting on August 5th, 2024.
So moved.
Second. All right. Any discussion? All right, in that case, I will take a roll call vote. We will start with Amy. How do you vote?
Aye.
Nope, I didn't hear you, but I saw, I think it was an aye.
Aye.
Yeah, we're not getting sound. Oh, maybe might be a problem with the owl, actually. Let's fix that before we go on.
Oh, mine says I have no connection.
Amy, can you hear me?
Yes.
She can hear us, but we
You
can't
hear
hear
us,
her,
but
so.
our sound isn't working. Yeah, we didn't hear the beep.
Amy, can you talk now?
I can.
There you go.
Perfect. All right. Now, aye, correct?
Aye.
Oh, we got it that time. All right, Nancy.
Abstain.
Abstain. Megan.
Aye.
Bill. Aye. And I am an aye. All right. All right. So the minutes from August 5th are approved. Next, we will do our public comment on non-agenda items or announcements. I'm going to read my spiel and then we'll get that going. Oh, it's been... Public comment is not legally required, but we believe it is crucial for us to hear from our community members about our concerns over issues. Through these meetings, our board models for our students how to conduct public discourse, and that the board and members of our community can approach controversial issues in a civil and constructive manner and can demonstrate mutual respect. Having said that, please note that the board is here to listen. The public comment period is not designed for discussion. Please start by identifying yourself and what town you reside in and limit your remarks to 3 minutes. All right. Are there any public comments or announcements from Rebecca? Good to see you.
My pleasure also. My name is Rebecca Roisman and the town I live in is Windsor, Vermont. I came this evening because on the heels of what happened in a school last week, I thought of not only all of you, but I thought of our entire school community, our children, our students, our teachers, and our administrators, and all of the above. And I just know that it's unsettling for not only those that are in the midst of the school community and what goes on, but also for community members. And we don't, as community members, don't always have a chance to let you know that you are not alone in this. And I know that I know that the school is not always able to bring the community in or work with the community because of so many reasons. But what I hope is that maybe, you know, there can be a way where that can change, because this is, you are a part of the community and an important part. And so I just, you know, if you have any suggestions on maybe how the community outside of the school can really support you, we would want to know. We hope, I'd love to know, and I know that I'm not asking you, you know, answer that today. I know my minutes are running, but I just want to kind of say in conversation with others that you're being thought of at this time. And we know that it's a hard time, and we want to support you in whatever way we can. And so thank you.
Nice, thank you.
Thank
Rebecca.
you.
Really appreciate that. Right, are there any other comments or announcements? Bill?
I am Bill Yates. I live in West Windsor. This is me as a West Windsor resident. For whatever reason, sheer luck, I happened to open up the Windsor front page forum, and I saw the announcement of tonight's meeting and from Lori Brown, and I was extremely impressed with the heading of, you know, from the Windsor Southeast Supervisory Union Office. There is a school board meeting, so forth and so forth, and also on her personal account. But I'm kind of hoping that that could happen on the West Windsor front page forum as well, because we are two districts.
That was the goal.
Yeah.
So,
I'm not sure.
Who can do that?
so you said
Who can do that?
Lori, it's
Lori.
on her list.
Yes.
She put, and I think she has, well, she made me an account in both. Say again what it was, Bill. I thought you said where you opened up front
Well,
porch forum.
Right, when I
Okay.
go to West Windsor,
Yeah.
it's brand new. It used to be West Windsor and Reading.
Okay.
And I went there, and because it was just West Windsor, I figured, well, I'll click on Windsor as well.
Yeah.
So there it was, there, front center.
Sodom Windsor.
Wow, that's beautiful. That's just fantastic.
Yeah.
Nice that it was on both.
Okay.
She may think it automatically goes on, but she
No,
would have to be a member of both probably.
I think I
thought I saw.
remember it both. I mean, that, when we talked, Davis, is that on the list?
Yeah, so I'll just read off the list because we went over this last week. So the places that Lori is posting the
Agendas.
the agendas to. So for Windsor, it's Windsor School, Windsor Town Office, Windsor Post Office, Windsor Front Porch Forum, Windsor Listserv, Vital Communities, and Windsor School Calendar website, and then the Mount Scotty School Board folder. And then West Windsor, it's ABS, West Windsor Town Office, West Windsor Post Office, West Windsor Front Porch Forum, West Windsor Listserv, and ABS School Calendar. So it should be going to both.
Right.
You didn't
It's
see it?
not.
Okay, I'll check in with her. That was
Okay.
the goal.
And I'm trying not to be negative.
No, no.
I'm positive the fact that I was just, I saw it, I'm like, wow, that's beautiful. And I love the fact that it says from the offices of Windsor Southeast Supervisory Union. Because it looked very official.
I'll check with her tomorrow.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks for bringing it up.
That is the goal. So Bill, if you want to be our lookout, make sure that'd be
Okay.
helpful, actually.
Awesome. Yeah, glad I've seen somewhere.
Yeah.
Make sure people can see it everywhere. All right, any other announcements or public comments for non-agenda items? Okay. Hearing none, we will move on to item 5, which is our administrative report. So let you all get going.
Sure.
This is my.
Now you can see.
Yes.
All right. I believe it's our newest principal.
I get to go first. Okay. Just a few updates. The first short weeks of school, first 2 short weeks of school in the elementary school, we really focused on building like classroom communities and relationships. And so the teachers have really been working on agreements, how they function as a classroom, getting settled into today. Monday was our, really, we're going to start digging into curriculum. So today was was our kickoff day for that. And hopefully the students I know some of it started earlier, which is wonderful. That means the relationships were built and the communities were ready. So today was our day to begin to dig into math and scaling. Dismissal and drop off has really been going well. It was kind of fun the first week actually with everyone out there with their yellow vests on, and Windsor Police Department and Christine, everyone else were great and supportive. And for the staff, we have kind of an all hands on deck attitude about dismissal, and it is going very well. I think we can pretty much get everyone safely in their cars, on a bus, or on their way home we're down to about 8 minutes. A couple little bumps, and we put some of the right people in charge, but that's going very well. We're also getting good feedback from families about noticing the difference in how it's much safer. Kids aren't running out of traffic. And then I guess the last really is Kate and Colleen, how much I appreciate and how welcoming it has been to come to Windsor. Everyone has been so helpful, and I'm really lucky to have these 2 ladies to work with who are teaching me the ropes, and I appreciate their partnership. It's been a good first, today's day 8, I guess. Good first 8 days.
So in the middle school, one of the first things we focused on this week was the first 7 days was the 3 pieces that we're working on with our leader in me, and that's leadership, academics, and culture. And we are following up with some of the training our middle schoolers did last year, which was restorative circle practices. So this picture in the top right is one of our first advisory meetings. This is about half the middle school. We did it in 2 halves. And just a side note to that is our team is focusing on how we're doing universal interventions for all kids. So part of doing that is making our advisory intervention times like half and half. So we get half advisory, half study block time, and then they switch so that nobody misses study time. It gives our special educators more time to be with kids, and kids don't say, I'm missing some fun advisory activity. So that's part of it. So this is half, because we're going to do everything like in 2 parts with our advisory team meetings. And the beginning of the year expectations are around the big ones for middle schoolers, and that's cell phones, dress codes, and really understanding what does unkind behavior, bullying, and harassment look like, and helping kids understand those pieces. And those are things we have to reiterate a lot in middle school, but this is how we started it, and we're going to every week work on those restorative circles in our advisory program, where every Monday they'll use a restorative circle practice, and every Friday. So kind of like, what are the things we're focusing on as a middle school? And then on Friday, how did we do with that, and checking in on their agreement. So as we break down our week into leadership, academics, and culture, kids will be able to be a part of each one of those action teams. Eventually, we have adult leaders who are leading each one of those, and all taking a part of that during the week for our kids. We're really excited about it. The other pictures at the bottom are our, middle school discussions, and it's a big push from 6th grade through 10th grade in our math department to help our students with math discourse, having discussions, getting kids thinking and doing the talking and doing the participating. And this was like one of the first weeks of them just getting up and working together in small groups and being brave to talk through problems together. And that was really exciting. So first 7 days, awesome. Look us.
And that little picture, in case you're wondering, that's Mr. Barth. I know.
Our new Mr. Barth, 7th and 8th grade math teacher.
Bill, I
yeah.
think Bill had his father in school, Mr. Barth.
Biology?
I don't know. That's Jonathan Barth. He's teaching
Oh my
middle school
goodness, that's
math.
right.
John Barth.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
I can just imagine, the energy he brings.
he's been doing great. He was,
John Bob was such a silly man
Did you have him too?
My
that
sister had one of his last years.
it's just, and how he brought that to his teaching and the enthusiasm and the intensity was just, he's a legend.
That's great.
So,
Well, his son is here, becoming a legend.
yeah.
All
He was
right.
the girls varsity basketball coach too.
Correct.
Correctly, yeah.
Like 95, 96. Anyway, high school updates. Opening days. So as you may or may not know, I actually am a career elementary teacher. So I kind of have that same mindset as Tracy, as like relationships matter, culture building matters. Jeff Beachy and Christy Keeney and a team of students designed our first 3 days. And they did it with the shortened schedules that we already have in place. So the first day they did like a half day, and then the kids did all team building activities that were designed by students in their homeroom only. And then day 2, they did the same thing, but now they did it with their entire class, so with their 9th grade. And day 3, they did the same thing, but they did it with whole school activities. And I think it's made a great impact. It gave us an opening that we're all together in the auditorium to go over expectations for parking and cell phones and all the great things. It was the first time, lots of times when you do things like this, kids will have parents call and say, can I be dismissed? We did give pushback this time. Well, this is just as important. We had not a single parent complaint. They were like, no, I agree with you. Thank you. They just asked me to call, so I did. And we had a couple students kind of say, like, I'm gonna hang out here in the SEI room. And I was like, well, your classmates put a lot of thought into this. There is something for everyone. You don't have to play a sport. You can take pictures. You can do, there's some puzzle tables set up. You can work on the class banners that they were making. It was a super great start to school. And I think it put a lot of important things at the forefront in terms of the building. The parking plan for the front has impacted high school, and now that all the students have to park out back by the fields. So seniors can park by the soccer fields. The rest of the students can park by the football field. In case you're hearing any feedback about that, I've heard a lot of feedback about that. Students are entitled to ADA accommodations if necessary. I have 3 right now, 2 short-term, 1 longer term, and we will find them spots that allow them closer access to the building. Other than that, the needs for our parking far exceed the number of spots that we have.
So there is no student parking in the back where the theater is.
No, it is all down by the field. So Jim and his crew will work to make sure that that path is clear over the winter. They've been kind and respectful. Today was the first day that we didn't have an adult out there, and they did try and park everywhere about where they were supposed to. So we're gonna put an adult back there again.
Well, we forgot to unchain the fence. That made it.
And also notice there are very many no parking places in the U.
That's what makes the U now movable. Because of the no
I
parking.
think I'm parked in one of them. But you know, coming out of the U, they've really limited spaces.
Yep.
It's safer.
Yeah, it's for the safety of the preschool, drop off and pick up.
Yeah, all of the students are inside the gates at the turf and parents are pulling up. And they come right out through the gate and then they go. So it's been smooth on our end. We do know it eliminated parking, which I think we're accommodating well.
Yes, it's been a smooth change. It's eliminated people getting here in the middle of the day, like, cause we have staff that work here that don't necessarily come in at 7:45, so they're different school, or they work longer hours and they just come in later and they were coming in, there was no parking and no street parking at that time and no anything, but we are able to accommodate any ADA accommodations. I just want that message out there. The last thing I wanted to talk about, I wasn't really asked to, but I've heard a little bit of chatter about it, is why we do not offer AP courses here. We do offer college courses through Running Starts, RBCC. And I think we offer human biology, statistics, we offer an English composition class, a making in the modern world. And I feel like there's one more. We do offer one more, I just can't think what it is. They offer more flexibility. They offer more student choice in what they're learning. There's not a test. There's not a standardized test at the end. So there's more flexibility getting students the credits. We have found that they're pretty comparable. Like UVM will take both of them. Dartmouth won't take either of them. So we're not really finding that discrepancy. There is some questions sometimes because we all grew up in the age of the AP. So we have been in talks with Bellows Falls and Springfield about offering that regionally if somebody really still wants that option. Kimberly Dodson teaches one. Catherine teaches one. Tam is going to teach one in the next semester. So if you ever want to stop by and talk to one of them, I'd be happy to talk to you.
I appreciate you pursuing that compromise option there. Sounds like what we're offering.
Oh, I don't think statistics and calculus, they're offered at college level through
Yeah.
Jen Thompson teaches them. So.
All right. Thank you.
Maybe yes. So let me start by saying I wish I was there last month. I'm sorry I wasn't, but sometimes our personal well-being trumps it. And I just want to give a huge shout out to the building team. This summer they've done a remarkable job of just stepping up to the plate when they were short in the fund because of the demands, and they've just done a remarkable job giving our building a place where we have no. Thank you all for that. I want to talk about what we are calling our exploratory time, which has been about maybe 7 years in the making. And what we're doing is we're combining our 3 through 6 group and our K-1-2 group and giving kids options, a little bit like passion projects might be in the upper grades. That's for short blasts. But really the idea is that as a small school, sometimes you have small classes that need to kind of intermingle with others to do some social emotional learning particularly. And our goal is in the end to create products that integrate the curriculum, particularly in alignment with CKLA, which is our ELA program, as well as our math program, science and social studies. I want to give a huge shout out to two people who stepped in pretty late in the game due to some late retirements. We had our entire central staff kind of retire within a week, right before the beginning of August. So our administrative assistant and our nurse both retired in the same week. Not a surprise, and for good reasons. But the two people who stepped in, Wendy Allen and Karen Townsend, have hit the ground running. And how lucky are we that we've got people who can do that work? Karen Townsend has been at Windsor before. We worked with her before. Part of our food program, so that created a compromise in the food program part as well. But everybody worked together throughout the process, and we're still walking through that. And just for grateful person I am to have them have showed up to that. Speaking of shout outs, food program, Ian Rose is really trying to figure out how to make it work for Alba Ridge School, which is not the most traditional school. Somebody has to make it someplace else and bring it to our school while it's still hot or cold and all that stuff. And he's been just amazing about working with us and his team, and his team's been great, just trying to make that happen. Not easy, lots of problems to be solved, but he's doing a great job, and we appreciate that. Our plant-based shift. So as you know, last year, we had the leaving of our place-based coordinator for the part-time position. We're making a shift now that we've got all of our staff who have been hired or are on board previous to the place-based shift, ready to take lead. So all of our classroom teachers feel like they have a place to be a leader in this rather than having to require somebody else to take lead. So I feel like we're in a really good place here that they want to do this work in terms of creating the content along with the other things that we hope place-based does, which is make connections for us in the natural world, make connections for us within our community, and create a sense of belonging. And so they are really taking, the classroom teachers are taking on that additional thing to look at how we blend the curriculum to the content with the place we live in a very purposeful way. We would like to, as we grow, to expand that to what we might call project-based, which some of it is, like project and place-based are two unique things, and they have a huge blend, and we're getting there. But I'm just wanted to do that, give a shout out to them. And then we're trying to embed our social emotional learning into that a lot more than we have in the past, purposefully with our school counselor actually taking active parts in that work. So that's a great shift for us. I'll give a quick update on our social emotional big lens, which includes collaborative problem solving, trauma transformed restorative practices. We are at a place where I feel like we're at a tipping point to go from we're learning about it to be on it. And I just wanted to acknowledge that across not just my school, but I think across the entire issue that more people in these buildings who are working with these kids have a solid understanding of what it is to come to the table, able to access the best of our brains, and what it is when we can't access that and where we put the, I don't want to say blame, because that's not the right word, but where we put the explanation of what it is that's getting in the way. Because as Colleen mentioned, the restorative practices is really about building community. This whole year we're all about connections and building that sense of community. And I feel like we're at a tipping point, and I just want to acknowledge that. And I think highlight that throughout this year as we're talking about building that sense of connection and building the kind of shift in our cultural lens, because I feel we're on the cusp, and that's a super exciting place to be. Middle school Mala will give us an update about where we are with that. So Alpha Bridge School is participating with the middle school in the Passion Project Choice Time. And we're going to work on moving into some of the time and some of the specialist times as we go throughout the year. And it's just been really awesome working with the middle school team to try and work through that process. The last thing is transportation. And anybody who's in school knows that transportation is a little bit of a bump, but we're getting through it. When somebody's been in the position for 30 years and walked every bus driver through every position, like every change of anything that goes on with transportation, all of a sudden that's gone. We've had a little rough roads, but we're getting there. So just some reassurance that we will get there, and we're in communication with the entire team to make that happen. So super excited about the year. I put a lot in front of you for words, and sorry about that. But I gotta say, when we think about building connections, you look at those top two pictures, it's not connections with us primarily. It's us as leaders to help kids make connections with everyone. And so it's not the connection of adult to child all the time. It's the connection of children to children, because that creates a sense of belonging, a sense of connection, and often enough scaffolded language that can help the learning problems. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, my turn. Got a little bit to report tonight about the beginning of the year. So we had, as you heard from our contract negotiations, we had an additional day of onboarding with our new staff, which, thank you, it makes a huge difference, and they've said so as well. So we had 2 full days with the new staff before the rest of the staff started. During those 2 full days, they had training on frontline, they had curriculum training, they had to take the 90-minute ALICE training, which is those are our safety protocols. They had 7 habits training, they had time with their mentors, and they had time in their buildings with their with their lead learners over the course of those 2 days, which felt, it felt a little bit crunched, but not as crunched as one day, and it's much appreciated. We also are really pleased to announce that we do have a new support staff mentor program in place. So last year we had 30 support staff members, one from each district, who went to a training through Vermont NEA. Julia Longchamp runs that program. They did the trainings, they met with myself and Angie and Katie, and here's our plan, this is what we want to do. They applied for a grant, which they received. I believe it was $17,000, which is funding the program this year. So they invited all new support staff and support staff who started last year as well, because they didn't have any mentors. And so they have a good number of staff that they're mentoring, and it's gone over really well. It's been really positively received by the new support staff who are actually asking for it. So it's a win-win. But there's some transitions here. There we go. We had our welcome back in service. I like to start with showing gratitude. So we do service awards, and we do a little WSESU lunch tote for all our new staff members, and we call them down and honor them and cheer them on. And then we do 5, 10, 15, 20. We had our longest staff member who's been at Heartland, Betsy McClure, has been here for 40 years. So we celebrated her a little bit as well. So it does seem to send a positive feel across the supervisory union when we start that way. So we did have harassment and Title IX training, which we were required to do, and that was Tina and Angie tag team that one. Tracy had half a day to do diversity, equity, and inclusion training for everybody. She focused on agreements, why they're so important in building a culture of belonging and connection and equity. We talked about identity. She took us through an activity around common vocabulary. What do these words mean at WFESU? And then we ended with a little bit of a deep dive in our policy. So she focused on the anti-racism policy procedures, the equity policy, and the transgender policy. So staff had a chance to look at those, and we shared out. So it was really great to have the time to do that. She's got some more time in January to work with the whole staff as well. Talked about our curriculum plan for the year. Great kickoff in the high school. They've had a little bit of a different roadmap this year in terms of what they were doing as opposed to the rest of the staff. I think I shared with you, we're partnering with the AOE, and the AOE team came. We have team leaders working with a co-facilitator partnerships at each content area. And they are, I can't tell you how many people have said, so thank you. We've been trying to do this work for years. We just want to get it done. So that felt really good. And they have time allotted across the course of the year to finish that. Well, we're going to get as far as we can. We might need a second year, but we've got a good plan. Staff were given as much self-directed time as we could give them. And we've been debriefing with staff. Angie's office just sent out a quick survey on how it went, and feedback's been really positive. They really appreciated having as much time as we could give them to get up and running in their classrooms. So a good positive opening of the year. I want to highlight and shout out Tara Howard, her husband, Alan, Melissa Shaw, and 2 high school students, Bailey Howard and Evan Margolis. They took it upon themselves after the really warm end of year we had to do some fundraising so that the 2nd and 3rd floor high school classrooms could have air conditioners. They did, there's a couple of the kids at a car wash raising money. They raised $1,800 for air conditioners, and we need 3 more, and Jim has said that we can absorb that into the ends budget, so the classrooms will have air conditioners, which is incredible. Yeah, and great shout out to the kids for taking that on. It's wonderful.
Seriously.
Yeah, it should help. And lastly, I just want to mention that the VSBA October conference is coming up. It is a celebration of public education in Vermont. And it is, the structures or the format's a little bit different. The 24th is Thursday. It's going to start in the afternoon. I think 2, is that right?
Sounds right. Yeah.
And then there'll be a dinner in the evening and then the training, the full next day. Davis is going as the board chair. He's required to do some 8 hours, I believe, but you're all welcome. And if you're interested, just reach out to Lori and she will get you registered. And you can do all or parts. You don't have to, you don't have to stay over if you don't want to, but it's available. So that is the end of the administrative report. So I will stop sharing.
Any questions for
Yeah, questions or
Kristen?
comments?
Well, thanks so much, all of you. It's great to hear how wonderfully the first week or so of school has gone. I was glad to I sort of stumbled onto all of my job as the girls.
I was so impressed.
I mean, I was glad that I caught it. I was happy to give up part of my run to watch the game, but they did great. I only caught the first half, but I heard they won in the end. Dominant offense is really good to see. But yeah, no, it's great to hear how well the year is starting off and how some of the changes that we've been able to make have been positive. And I've heard from you all, and I've heard from parents, and I've heard from teachers out the street. I've sort of picking people's brains around, and I've across the board been hearing really positive things. So that's all I want to hear. Makes me feel great. So, keep rolling that way.
Yes, I'm going to do our best.
Oh yeah, I know you always do. All right. Well, we are on to item 6, which is our items for discussion, followed by motions if needed. For anybody who hopped in a little late, we did remove our school clerk update, and we are tabling that until next month. Again, Elizabeth was going to reach out to the West Windsor town clerk about that. And she is unfortunately out with COVID today, but she's going to keep working on that. I'll keep working with her to make sure we can address that in October. Next up, we have our community outreach sessions. So this is one of our board goals that we have this year. We had it, I think we've had it the past couple of years. I know that we have tried a number of things, a number of different formats to try to engage community on issues. My perception is that it is challenging to get folks to show up in person to engage in these events. So I think before we even start with the subject matter, I think because we listed 3 things here from our retreat, which is student performance, budget priorities, and then school culture, supporting our students' learning while being at home and the broader community. I think those are pretty good topics to cover. If we did even 2 of those, we'd be good. So it's nice to have plenty of options. But I guess I want to hear from the board, maybe from other folks here, how can we define engagement and success in these events? My only 2 cents, and I know y'all have the same before, but I think that it behooves us to take a broader view of what engagement looks like. I love to throw an event where lots of people come in, we have a really great in-person conversation, and you get that kind of like face-to-face contact and that kind of community building. I think there's something to that is hard to replicate. That being said, I also recognize, in my own life and all of your lives and the lives of our, the parents and students in our community, people have a lot going on. It can be really hard to dedicate that time on top of, sports, school activities, homework, work and everything else. So yeah, I mean, I guess I just kind of want to brainstorm a little bit. What does engagement look like, and how might we structure a couple of these events maybe in a way we haven't before? Yeah, Megan.
One thing you said that I'm looking for maybe a little more clarity. You said the words events and issues. So to me, that's 2 different things. Like the event we had last time, we weren't there to talk about issues. So what is the hope for, because I think to me, it's two different things, because we've talked about like the issues, like having people come to the budget meeting. We had just two public show up, like that would be something, is that considered, is that what we're thinking of? Or are we thinking of things outside of like our normal meetings?
Yeah, so what we have wanted to do in the past, and we've tried a couple of different things, is having events, and maybe I wasn't super clear. We have some topics that we decided that we want to cover or, engage the community on outside of a business meeting setting like this. I know that we've done that in the past. I remember being down at the Windsor Welcome Center. We talked about, I think it was early childhood ed. We had a kind of panel style discussion on that. And we had decent online engagement. That was kind of more in the ground scale of COVID, so we didn't expect a lot of people to be there in person. We had some folks online. Windsor and Air people will watch it later, so that's its own kind of engagement. It's not quite as immediate. And then last year, what we opted for was to go the other way and do an in-person event that wasn't particularly topical, where it was just get together. We all made different kinds of sandwiches. It was a lot of fun, but we didn't get a ton of engagement. We didn't get a ton of people showing up. And in that kind of event that's really solely based on in-person, in the moment, show up, talk to people. I think there were things to learn from it. I think it was successful in some respects, but I'd be lying if I'd say there were as many people there as I would have hoped were there to converse with us in sort of just broad, ask us anything sort of format. So knowing that, I'll throw out there that I think logistically and schedule wise, I think that doing an event, some sort of board event in November, and then some sort of board event maybe in the mid-spring, like February, early winter, like February, so that we're not getting, after town meeting day. Although I convince me otherwise.
We are doing the community dinner.
We're doing the community dinner, yeah, but that's an event where we're volunteering for the community. We're not like hosting. I mean, people can talk to us during that for sure. But,
That's more like the sandwiches.
a little bit, yeah. I mean, that might address part of that. I think specifically looking at this year, what we talked about at our retreat was having some topic sessions, having it not be in a business meeting session. And unlike in this meeting where we specifically say, hey, the public can comment, but the purpose here is not for us to engage in dialogue, to have dialogue focused sessions about these topics. So that's where I'm like, I'd be interested to hear if you all had preferences, ideas about format, about space, setting. I think to me, that's where I want to start the conversation. Because I can easily say, all right, Windsor Welcome Center, tables, fruit punch, snacks. People are like, we can do that, but I think it's worth starting outside the box a little bit and then seeing where we land as a group.
I think there's some hot topic things that might be helpful to get some more community engagement. I'd be curious about pre-kindergarten, for example. And I know we've hashed this out again, but what would the community and parents and future parents of pre-K students be looking for a successful pre-K experience? What sort of support would they need? Because most of our pre-kindergarten students go elsewhere. And it often includes a lot of transportation hassle and cost for parents in the community. And I think often it sets up a expectation of education elsewhere for the other districts in the SU. So that's one topic. Another thing would be to set up sort of a discussion around student engagement, student behavior. To get input on cell phone use, to educate about some of the programs that our schools are doing and be able to explain that and present on that in a small way. So those are two topics that I think would be possible to get some engagement and get some information about.
Bill, do you have any thoughts about that particular format that strikes you as being the most effective in
Well,
eliciting that engagement?
that especially around when we're talking about younger students, that in-person piece is so difficult for them. And I think that topic specific that you talked about, where we're at that, what is it, the community center?
Oh, the Welcome Center.
The Welcome Center, not that it necessarily has to be there, but sort of that combined of in-person and online ability for people with children to be able to log in and at least listen and even engage. And I think that's sort of what you're hinting at. I may be wrong about broadening our idea of engagement to be able to offer something which allows parents with children to participate in a way that doesn't require a babysitter. I can't find a babysitter. I think anyone else can. No, it's impossible.
Thanks, Bill. That's some good ideas too for that. Anything?
I know we talked about this in the past before, and we talked about like coming to where the parents are and coming to events that are already happening.
Yep.
So I would always suggest something like you said you're hosting a community dinner. I think like even for our PTO, having anything that happens at school, any events, having like a standard, this is a spot where you can go and meet a PTO parent at this booth or table. This is a spot at any concert, any event, you can meet a board member as an idea. I think the idea of offering and hosting a community dinner is a natural way to get people to talk and engage in the way you're hoping. It made me just immediately think about food, and I know a lot of schools, not around here so much, but I've been at schools where they do fundraisers, where they go to a restaurant who gives them a percentage of the bill that night. For everybody who goes to the restaurant, they're going to say, and they make 20% of all the people who were Windsor, Mount Scottney families who came to support it. I think of those kinds of things, hosting those maybe once a month, and again, having a table people want to come out and support kids. So that's why I say that. And then it's taking you out of the boardroom, out of the community center. Not that those are not great places, but it takes people to the restaurants.
So whatever you do, pizza chef would be willing to work with you, because then that eliminates kind of transportation as a barrier. It's towards a local thing. I know we had talked to them in the past about the prom, and they had been willing to work with something as a prom. So maybe we're checking out there.
Sure.
So I think we're open to always, and I also was thinking about how our PTO has their own bulletin board in the school, like things that are like a regular offering for people to engage with you is huge. And like Bill said, the conversation about things like kids' engagement in dress code and cell phone policies. That's like, as soon as kids are concerned about that stuff, I say, are you interested in being a part of that committee? And when we get our students and our teachers and our community involved in those kinds of discussions, again, we're there where kids are. When there's kids and food, I think it's a win-win.
Yeah, we do have 3 community dinner events planned this year in the books as a school. And I don't know if adding on or prior to one of those events, the board is going to be here from 5 to 5:30, they talk about this traffic before people come to see their, for dinner and visit their students' events or whatever.
Our
Right.
next event is open house.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. We're overscheduled. We're overscheduled. The kids are overscheduled. Everyone is overscheduled. And I think that the right kind of little win for now, or the right approach now is kind of what you're doing, showing up to events that already exist. And I would wonder, I don't want to give anyone more work. That's the last thing I always wanted to do. But if you would want to do something in our newsletter monthly, weekly, like just the school board corner, not your own separate one. I mean, these people already get enough emails. But if you were to put a blurb in our email, in our letter each week, and that would be the way to communicate. I don't think that you would get a lot of people to come out strictly for an event to talk to the school board member. I just don't think you would.
I like what Kate was saying. Sorry, I didn't mean, were you gonna go?
No.
I think, I know the work I do, with older adults, people don't want to come up to me, like, talk and stuff, but the more I'm out in the community and people see me, like, it starts to like, oh, it's not as scary as what, like, so I think what you're saying to me makes sense. Like, the more we're out in the community and doing things, the more engagement we'll naturally have with people. One of the events I had wondered about is not that we're gonna have a lot of conversation that night, but people still see you, is the rec is doing a trunk or treat. Like, I think the board having a car there, like, is not a bad idea. Like, because people see Autumn Leaf Festival, maybe.
Homecoming events, just the more you're seeing. I mean, a lot of my job is made easier because I'm so visible around here, and that's what makes you comfortable.
Can I add just a couple things?
Sure.
When thinking about individual events, we have found when we do something specific around a concept, like nailing it on the head, like, hey, we're gonna talk about this one thing. If you're interested, come. And then to provide food and childcare. Those are the two key things that we can provide. Childcare is really key, but in reality, unless you're doing it on the weekend, providing food in the evening and knowing what cohort you're working at makes a big difference. So you're looking at the early, right, the elementary to preschool group, you're looking at those 5:30 blocks, right? Give food, give childcare, and get those kids home by 7, right? Knowing that that's a schedule for those kids. And then thinking about the older kids, like parents can like almost let their kids go after they're done with all the transportation, all the sports, saying like this can be an evening event. So knowing which cohort you're really trying to focus on. And yeah, I don't have an answer. But really thinking about, can you provide childcare for the youngs, and can you provide food for all? That helps eliminate some of the family needs and stressors for those evenings when you schedule it at the right time.
Yeah.
Knowing what your time knowing what you're going to talk about is super important. You can really focus. It can't be a general thing because that's too broad. But if you're going to say, hey, we really need to talk about health, wellness, and cell phones with our community, and then not just count on us in our extra resources, and you're going to meet people who are working on this in the mental health area or in the hospitals, because we do have resources. And I think anytime we can find those and run those, I found more success than when I try to do it independently or they do it independently.
This could sound a little lame, but I also wonder if you could pop by on picture day and get like a school ID, and then we could put like one of the ribbons that we have at PA that would identify you as school board members, and you could kind of divide and conquer, like kind of each decide like, hey, what's my grade level that I want to focus on, or that I'll be the connection for, and just start showing up for these events, but identified, because a lot of people have no idea who you are.
Yeah. And once they're ready, I think I'm already signed up for picture days.
Yeah.
Going on the way. And you know, that's one year peers, and I promised her I would get the second one done by picture day, so it was like literally overlay.
Well, I appreciate all the input. We probably should move on pretty soon. That's a lot of really good ideas. Any other last thoughts before we carry on to something else?
If I remember what I was gonna say. I'll let you know.
Well, I think what we will do, because I think we can afford one more. I think because we don't have our full board here, and I know this is something that Elizabeth specifically has spearheaded a lot, like it would be, I'm okay waiting till October. My kind of 2 cents hearing all the input. And having attempted some of those more focused freestanding events. I mean, Kate, I think you're right. People are overscheduled. I mean, whether you have kids or don't have kids, like people, we find ways to fill our entire lives, you know, and being a part of community. Like there is so much to do. Events out there, our inboxes are all full. Our newsletters are all very full. Like it's finding those spots where we're making those community connections, we're getting that info, we're having those interactions, but it's not like one more thing, right? So I think I heard a lot of good ideas. I personally, I think what resonates with me the most is something like finding some events, showing up to those so that we address, because I don't want to go too far from our board goals. We did have our topics set out at that time, and I think that 3 honestly is plenty. What I would have us kind of chew on and maybe make a decision at the next meeting is there's 6 of us, we have an even number. Maybe we can pair up on a couple of events, 1 person from Windsor, 1 person from West Windsor, and say, hey, like at sporting events, you know, this handful of sporting events, we're going to be here, and like we want to hear from you about this. We can put that in the newsletter. I think short of putting a lot more content out, because again, I think even within, I get some newsletters that you scroll, and they never end. By halfway through, you're kind of like done with the content. But just putting out a plug saying, hey, we're going to be here. For my part, like I'm more interested in hearing what people have to say to me than talking more, because we have all of this time in business meetings to talk. We can get out there, but I would love to hear more. Have those opportunities for dialogue. So that would be my thing, something like that. Finding some events where maybe a couple of us can show up and say, hey, like, how do you feel about budget priorities? We know that that's top of mind, especially going into the end of the year.
Yeah, I would just say there definitely are like, community dinners here at the school and our events here at school. Like parents are looking for feedback to talk to people and teachers and staff. So I think those are good nights. And when you said go to sporting events, it made me think of concerts and theater productions too.
That too.
But those are also like nights where parents are really trying to celebrate the kids, and they're really thinking about, oh, it's a great time to talk to about another topic when I'm here celebrating my kid. But I mean, I love the idea of it, but
Unless you're here like 30 minutes early, we'll be here prior to the event.
Yeah, I think in my head, it's less us walking around with grins plastered on Facebook and people being like, tell us about budget priorities, and more kind of being like, hey, we're going to be at X spot maybe a little early. We'll have tags on identifying us and be like, hey, you know, if you come up and talk to us, great. We're here, we're present, we want to have that dialogue. I think just creating those, keeping the door open a little bit.
Davis, may I ask you a question?
Sure.
If we're ready to move on, would it be possible to move the sports behavior protocols up while Jim is here?
I have no problem.
Is that okay?
I see Jim's here right now.
He's a busy man.
I know. Like we said, everybody's schedules are full, Jim's included, so.
That would be great.
Yeah, that's totally fine. I appreciate you voicing that. So I appreciate everybody's engagement on that. I think it was a really good discussion, and next month, I think we can make a plan, move forward with that. All right, so we're gonna jump ahead to F, which is our school sports behavioral protocols discussion.
Yep, I brought you this, and it is on the website. Our athletic handbook is on the website, and if you go to Windsor High School, it's in there. So it's
excellent. Appreciate it.
Yep, it's accessible to all. I'm happy to just give a general, and then if there are questions,
sure.
Just a general overview. And Jim is here for questions, and so the handbook is for Windsor School 712, and it is looked at every year annually. Kate is there with athletic directors primarily,
Well, to be fair, in 2021, we decided to make one handbook, which is the
Yeah,
athletic
for the
section. And this year, we decided to go back to its own separate
Yep.
handbook.
So that was done prior to school starting. It outlines the expectations for our athletes, and it also outlines some expectations for our spectators. So, it's pretty standard, but it's outlined for everybody. The coaches before the seasons go over this with their team, with the athletes, and they also may have other specific rules or guidelines that they, in addition, or more specific than the actual handbook that they may go over with their athletes before the season starts. Our coaches, all our coaches are trained annually through the BPA. So they have to do four annual trainings. One is called the Principles of Coaching. One is first aid. One is implicit bias training. And one is heat illness training. And then every 2 years, they have to do AED, CPR, and a concussions protocol. So that's just mandatory. That happens every year. And those are the basic expectations. We're certainly happy to talk in more depth if you have particular questions or things you're wondering about.
Sure. Yeah, and I mean, and I appreciate the introduction to our sports policy handbook. I'm glad to see we have something this thorough and coherent. I'll definitely take a look at it. We'll work completely when after the
When you
meeting.
have time, yep.
Give us more questions. Yeah, I mean, we're aware there's been some community conversation about, just around sports, around student behavior, coaching behavior, and to me, when the request came up to discuss this, I think it's something that we hear perennially just in our culture, whether it's other schools in the area or other folks in our community. I don't think it's ever been an agenda item. So to my mind, it's never a bad time just to review that we do have some material on this and, have a conversation and just do some level setting for, folks in the room and anybody who watches this at home. And then if questions arise, you can all here to chat about it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Are there specific questions the board might have? Well, we're all here. And Jim is our athletic director, for those that don't know. Woody is our assistant athletic director who works with Jim, and they're pretty phenomenal in all the things that are required when you're running athletics programs, from lining the fields, keeping them mowed, to going to all the games, getting the equipment out, training the coaches. I mean, it's an extensive responsibility. They do it with a smile.
Yep.
Even when it's hard.
Absolutely. I guess the one thing that I would start with is, in the event that there were to be an issue that arose between, with a parent not feeling okay with coaching staff or another student going on, like what would the protocol be to address that?
Protocol for that is always every parent is encouraged, if they have any questions to do with that, then it's anything. Not just behavior, playing time, uniform, travel, anything. But our protocol is you go to the coach first.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, if I'm the coach and you have a problem with me, the next step is to me. So then they go to the athletic director. If the athletic director can't appease him, then they go to Kate. Then if Kate can't appease him, then they go to Christine. But
I don't want to cut him off, but it's the head coach that you go to, not an assistant.
Yep.
So, to give you a little background about that, I was looking back before I had to come in, we probably average 15 complaints a season.
Mm-hmm.
And out of those 15 complaints, I don't believe I've had to have a parent go to Christine once. And me and Kate use each other as a sounding board, so I usually pretty easy to say which way that we're gonna go. Mm-hmm. We always try to be honest and fair with them. So one of the biggest things, not to go on forever, but one of the biggest things that sometimes people complain about is at the varsity level, playing time. Mm. And we make no excuses about this. We want to win, but we want to win the right way. And we run the program where varsity sports is honors English. Not every student, as much as we'd like to be, can get in honors English. Football's not for everybody, soccer's not for some people. Some people are gifted, some people are not. That's no reason not to treat them like a star athlete, but there's only so many minutes, and that's one of the bigger things, more than discipline. That's usually, I have 15 complaints, 13 of them are about playing time.
Or playing up. Can my eighth grader start high school sports?
Yeah, we're playing up, which
You don't do that at all.
we pretty much, I guess if this is a question that you're gonna ask, I think the athletic department and the coaches, not me, the coach, I think we do a great job with this, because you gotta remember, we have coaches, 2 to 4 coaches out on the road with student athletes late at night. The last thing you want is to stop at a store and have an incident, or they can't be on the bus home, or you can't trust them in the locker room. So I think we do a good job about that. I mean, we pick up after ourselves. We encourage them. A lot of kids haven't traveled the distances that we travel. We educate them on behavior. We educate them on dress. We educate them on you're going into somebody's else's place, you gotta respect it. We're gonna leave it the same way. When we leave, we're gonna leave it the same. It's not better than we found it. So we really, the last thing I'll close with, the only time you'll know how, this is how much your coaches work. Number one, the kid gets hurt and you're way off in Burlington. A lot of times you're the first person that kid gets to see. You're gonna know what you're worth then, because you're dealing with one of our student athletes, somebody's child. The second thing is how well you look after your team coming and going in between practices. And that's the whole ball of wax. Winning will follow that culture. And we want the behavior and the way we do it to be the same. This is what I preach all the time. It's the same as coming in the front door as it is going out the back door. We want it the exact same. That's what we strive for.
Appreciate that, Jim.
I mean, the one thing that's important to me is that protocol pretty much mirrors the same protocol with parents and teachers.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, and to show you how discipline works, the junior high teachers got a hold of me last year because they couldn't make a couple of our students behave in class, and I said, we can help that out in athletics. We can encourage them to check the field as they're going around a few times, which you can't do right in the classroom. And we also can keep it from them playing, so it works. Like when we work together, it works.
Yeah.
We all work together.
No, absolutely. I mean, and from what I know from being an educator, from my own experience as a student and a student athlete, I mean, there is learning that happens in the classroom, there's learning that happens in the field, and when those two things are working together and there's community and communication, it's effective. So I appreciate you bringing that up.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Well, we got Jim here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jen.
Thanks, Jim.
Not
This
really.
table did a great job opening the school. I don't know if I'm supposed to say that or not, but you should be thankful for the work.
I'm happy to hear it as many times as people can say it. Thanks so much.
Thanks,
Jim.
Jim.
Bye, Jim.
It's probably 3 hours past this bedtime.
Yeah.
I appreciate you taking the extra time. Oh,
Sit down, I mean,
so Bill's gotten a look at already. I'll hold on to this copy, but you know, this it's online.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I appreciate Jim coming in and giving a rundown. I think again, just level setting on it. I'll just throw out, I didn't have any like extremely specific questions beyond just like reviewing what the protocol is if an issue does arise. I think it's good to hear it from the athletic director. You know, I know that I grew up in this town. There's really deep sports culture. It's, you know, stuff isn't always going to be perfect. I think that for a lot of people I know, including some people who are really near and dear to me, it has been a huge part of their lives, had a massively positive impact. Yeah, our coaches do amazing work.
I really do.
We should have said it more loudly when Jim was in the room. If he does an amazing job, Jim, today. All the things he does was great. All right. Good. Nothing else on that. Let's move on to, I gotta jump back up here. We'll skip over something. Budget committee process. So if I recall correctly, Christine, we put out a little bit,
Blurb, yep.
yeah, a little bit of a blurb. Have we gotten any?
Any bites?
No, we put it in the newsletter for the last two to 3 weeks. I can't remember to contact me. And I haven't had anyone reach out. We'll keep putting it in.
Yep.
We could do a robocall if you really wanted to go in there, make sure people got the message.
I would be averse to a robocall. I think I wanted to kind of take the soft approach first and see like if there's somebody itching to meet about budget, you know. But get a robocall, get the word out there, and I think just knowing that we haven't yet, I would say folks who are watching this, if you're interested, who's the best person? Gene?
Tracy's the point person. Tracy Thompson.
Email Tracy Thompson. Point person, and I think at this point too, just like as a board member, I'll kind of think about my folks I know out in the community who might have some interest or time or expertise who might be willing to do it. Small town, so sometimes just pounding the pavement, getting the word out outside of the formal channels is the way to get people in. So I'll throw that out there too.
Are you call for both towns?
I can. It has not been in your newsletter. We've only done it through our school.
Gotcha. So do you want me to do it separate through the APS to get the Westminster? Or should it go?
It's probably
Do you want them to go to you or do you want them to respond to?
Whichever you prefer.
Yeah.
Just for refreshing my memory of what the actual ask is for the community member to join the budget committee. Is it 1 meeting, 2 meetings, 3 meetings?
I can talk about that.
Okay.
So right now, Larry just had his first, we had our first meeting with the SU budget committee. That was Friday. That process will go through September and October. His goal is to present the SU budget to the SU board at the end of October. Once that's kind of set, or at least we've got some preliminary numbers, we can start on the local budget. So that those meetings will be November, December likely. I think our plan is to start, which we typically do. I mean, we'd love some board parameters on what you're looking for in terms of budget goals before we really dig in. I believe at the SU level, we talked a little bit about budget parameters and, there is a threshold now that will be penalized if we go over. So we want to stay under that threshold. That's what I recall. So the principals Larry's going to be doing the local budgets this year as he transitions. So he'll be taking those on from Ed. He will likely want to work with the principals a little bit first, look at the wage and benefits, look at kind of programming. And then once we have something to kind of go over with the budget committee, we would engage some community members. And really it's like kind of educational, I think, for the community members to learn about the process, why these are the priorities, take comments, feedback, go back and revise. During November, it's usually, Mount Scottney hasn't had a budget committee, but Weathersfield has, and it's usually, well, last year was an exceptional year. But it's usually 3 meetings of community members. I think the SU budget ones they're remote during the day. Larry tries to work it out with people that are there. So I think that that's probably, well, we'll see. I mean, that would be the goal, but we're not adding 2 evening meetings to people's calendars. So
it seems like the high points are about 3 for local meeting. I think following the Weathersfield model to start makes sense. Yeah. So November, December, 3 meetings, and then flex the schedule once we have people that are interested, learning and working them in.
Yep, and the principals. The other thing is, last year, I think Brian asked his budget the committee members that could to come to some of those budget meetings when it got really intense last year. And a couple of them did, they would come remotely. So there may be some ask in that realm as well. But yeah.
How many people does Weathersfield normally?
I think they have 3 to 4, maybe Maybe there was a year there were 5, but it's a relatively small group. So that's our plan. So you want, you think a robocall at this time would be important?
Yeah, I think just putting it out there, I think that, whatever we can do to get more people aware that we are,
It's been in both the first 2 newsletters, and we are sending that out to like 558-ish families. And in the first newsletter, about 500 people saw the first one, and the second one about 350. But that just went out Sunday, so just letting you know that that's if you
That's how many
numbers
views you're getting.
That's how many guys we're getting.
did it in our reach. We appreciate it.
Can I just make one comment?
Yeah.
So I had said something to Christine about something the hospital was doing, a study, and you had sent it out, and that,
Oh, yeah.
just sending that out
Did it
by
help?
itself, so many people respond.
Oh,
It was
good.
really great. So I just wonder if it by itself might get a little more view. I mean, I like the robocall idea, but I just,
In a separate email.
in a separate email, that it's just that, because,
Just that. And
Yeah.
from you, because you're kind of important. People like it when it comes.
I'm happy to send it out.
I just wonder, because we got phenomenal feedback,
Yeah,
like,
okay.
it was really great, so I just.
Would
wondered
you,
if it's-
can I just thought of this now. I have a teacher who's very interested in being part of the budget process. Can they be on the committee?
They live locally.
Yes.
I mean, not that it matters. I don't see why not. I mean,
I
they
don't-
were,
yeah,
they're
I also don't see
educational,
why not.
they have a level of knowledge that is probably greater around budget than others may have. If they're in a small team.
There's certainly stakeholders, so yeah.
Yeah, I think that would be great.
And as far as the apologies for escaping me in the moment, the makeup of the committee, other than we're looking for 1, 2 maximum community members to come in, and then the rest of the committee is made up of Larry. Did we designate?
So, Larry will, I mean, he'll be there as needed. I think typically the principals,
Yep.
take on that local budget once it's built with Larry. I mean, he's certainly there to answer questions, and he'll be there if they need him, in Weathersfield anyway.
Mhm.
If that's how it's worked. Brian's kind of taking the lead in that.
Sure.
So we can structure it whatever you're comfortable with, but the other members, in Weathersfield, it's BJ. BJ is, I don't know if your admin assistants have much to do with your budgets. No.
Not really, other than like making our teachers aware of their line items when they
Yep.
have a copy of it.
BJ's a little more involved in the budget than Weathersfield.
Okay.
So she's present. I think, I'll check with Brian, but I think 1 board member.
Yeah, that was sort of buried in the lead.
Yeah.
That was my specific ask, is there
The
a
board
desire or expectation for a board member to
So-
take part too?
And you can do it however you want. I'm pretty sure there is 1 board member, but I'll double check with Brian.
I think at least one,
Yeah.
in that setting, I think maybe having something close to parity between board members and community members who are on the board would be
Okay.
beneficial.
All right, so hopefully next month we'll have some interested people.
Not to put you all to the spot, but
Yeah.
while that's come up, are there any other thoughts from our board members on that? Are there any board members present who would be interested in being part of the local budget committee?
I would be interested in learning more.
Fantastic. Yeah. All right.
Awesome.
My dance card's taken.
We got negotiations again coming up.
Yeah. I just sent you the letter.
Okay,
I feel like we always have negotiations.
it's support stuff. At least they're not in the same year. Right.
Well, thanks for volunteering. I think that'll
Yeah, that's
that'll be
great.
really good. And like I said, I'll try to get the word out too. I think we just kind of, shake some trees. I'm sure there's at least one person out there in Major West Windsor who would be interested in taking part. And, we got a community member and a teacher that's on
That'd
our
be
staff. I
great,
think
yeah.
that's all the more perspective and input we're gonna get. So, yeah. No, I'm glad we're doing that this year.
And Larry, just to shout out Larry, he's got, I'm gonna get the name of the budget, but he's got a new way to, build the budget and showcase it and communicate it out. That's quite impressive. So, he just started showing it to me, and I think it'll be really transparent and easy to read and understand community members, so.
Yeah, transparency and accessibility.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Two of my
Pretty
favorite
cool.
words.
Yeah.
Right on. Any final thoughts on that one before we move on? Okay. Well, thanks very much. Next is student on school board.
Any luck?
No,
Not yet.
no, I should have tried at the senior meeting today. I will visit Swarms and go into it. I would ask, that we follow the process that we had put in place. We didn't do a great job with that last time. And then we also provide the student with support. And again, it's just another case of everyone's overscheduled and
Yep.
I wonder if there would be a different model where we could have a rotation of representatives or I'm not sure, but it's a big ask of a already overscheduled student.
I mean, is it like a quarterly appearance instead of an every month appearance from that?
Yeah, would that be, would you like to do that?
Well, yeah, let's kind of bust it open and see what, because I mean, I'm amenable to, because we're not literally appointing another full board member. It's a student who is volunteering their time to give us input as a student member. So I think we can model a little bit. So having a student appear quarterly, the thing that popped in mind for me was maybe we look at the, like, how on the calendar student commitments shift and have it be on that same timetable. So whether it's by semester, maybe.
Also, could it be a mentorship? Could it be a work study? Could they get a credit? All of these.
Or all the above.
Yeah, we had I think we had great intentions. With this, I just think that we didn't provide the proper support to the students the last time around.
That's
So,
For goals and
and
everything else.
hopefully a younger high school student so that we keep the same one from year to year. I'm gonna try to get different ones every year.
Well, we have room for, I thought we had room for two, is that not
Yeah.
true?
Yeah.
Encourage you create a mentor of the mentor.
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Would it be helpful for us to, play a more active role in, getting students interested in this? Like have some time to come in, I don't shout about letting you guys get going before I start poking about when good drop-in times are, but is there a time where I'd be willing to drop in and just chat with students if they're interested?
I think that if you and I hosted a meeting together, that would be great.
Yeah.
We could do it at lunchtime. That's when we do a lot of our
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
It's just the
Totally.
interest level.
Yep.
Okay,
Cool. All right.
Right.
I'm wondering if there are parts of the meeting, like the beginning, when everyone's going on, if that is really interesting to them and that we could have them come and make sure it's that they're doing the items for discussion instead of, because that takes about an hour to hear. I just don't know, but,
That's
Having them come for part of the meeting, but not the whole meeting.
yeah. And one that they could be part of and their voices heard instead of just listening.
Right.
Yeah, something else. Thinking about that, having a student maybe come quarterly or come to every other meeting or something like that, we do have, this gets back to the conversation I'm having about what does engagement look like? Could we have a setup where, if a student wants to do this, but has a busy schedule, isn't able to make these meetings, we could make it so that a student could participate asynchronously. There's an expectation that if you're the student board member, you need to review the meetings and watch the content, read the minutes, set up something where maybe there's a check-in with a designated board member mentor and just, agenda point by point, just like for monthly meetings, say, hey, like, what are your thoughts, questions, just a quick, something like that. There's a lot of different ways we could do this. What would you all think about having like a designated board member kind of mentor assigned to the student or like a point
I
person.
like that idea. I
Yeah.
also like the idea of the board coming to the students, attending. I know that that's really hard. I know everyone has jobs. Right, but could we do, could you just visit one of their lighthouse meetings, or could we
Yeah.
have one of those in the evening or after school that you could attend?
Another thing to just think about, board meetings are in the evenings typically for community to be able to participate. Is it quarterly, do you have a lunchtime meeting that's remote so that the students can participate during their school day instead of in the evening?
That's kind of what I'm thinking when we talk about equity, the
Yeah.
transportation at a young age, and also our school's about 60 Windsor elementary students, 40 tuition, and like, are we giving the same opportunity to a freshman who lives in Weatherfield in terms of being able to be part of a board, attend a meeting? I would imagine it's much harder for them. That's one of those right here in town.
Yeah, just things to think about.
Actually, I have to excuse myself for one of my own children's meetings right now. I'm not going to do that. I thought you were gonna try and break the record and be done.
We're almost
well
done,
before
really,
that.
one more thing.
What is it?
One more item. Recertification fee.
Yep, yeah, we got one more item, but, yeah. I appreciate all the ideas.
Thanks.
We'll
Okay.
we'll keep working on it, and I'll reach out to you about, coming out, I love my drop-in times, if we can work together, I mean, with any learners and find some kind of purpose time too. I do work during the day, but I also work a lot and have some flexibility, so.
Yeah.
I'm happy to.
And our lunches are back to back this year, so you don't have that gap in the middle.
Oh,
So
yeah.
you could hit both of them.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
Cool. Well, yeah, for scheduling all, this
and
week.
then right into the 4:45 lunch, which is probably way more interesting than my school lunches.
I think I got to check out just about all the lunches last year, and they were all interesting in their own ways. But yeah, now that the year's kind of kicked off, I was looking to engage that conversation about drop-ins.
Yep.
Sooner too.
Perfect.
So, yeah. very
Thank
cool.
you.
Yeah, thank you. As we are getting near the mark, any last thoughts on student and the school board, other ideas? I like that we're again getting outside the box in this a little bit. Because students, I think especially, are really busy, and expecting them, it is fantastic that we had a student in the recent past who was able to attend as many meetings as he could. But like anything we do, I think that when we look back, there are things that went well, there's things that could go better. And we certainly want to be able to support our students and make them be able to make an impact, but also have a really positive, impactful experience on their own learning. I think there are ways that we can accommodate that for sure.
I wonder if there's a way that we could sort of put out a question of the month to students to start getting them engaged at all levels. So some version of like, we're looking for feedback on like, and thinking about like maybe an age group you want to target, so we're not like everybody all the time, but thinking about that in a way that gets them involved and thinking that they have some agency and some voice in the process, and you're getting that extra feedback.
Mhm.
So we can work at like, let's say, you want to do a K-5, 6-8 range or 12 range. Right? I'm just thinking about that instead of going, them bringing them here. We all do some version of circles, sort of practices. That might be a good time to introduce, hey, here's the question for the school board they'd like you to consider. And we could present that to them, maybe, I don't know, once a month is appropriate. But just that idea of bringing it to where they already are and getting feedback, even if they're not on the school board this way, they're giving feedback in a different way so that their voice matters.
And in that way, they might say, oh, we have a question for you.
Yeah, they might. Yeah, well, why did we do it this way? Right? They may very well.
And if they're a student board member, they can be part of formulating the question. Actually, I like that because you're building that structure. It's like, hey, you have a monthly opportunity to engage with us in, a sort of asynchronous way, but you can also be one of the people coming up with the questions. Yeah.
That's what the student on the Heartland board did last year. She sent out a survey each month. She targeted different grade level each month. And then her board report was information that she gathered. So
Is
that
that
was
something you
great.
could share with us?
Yeah,
Or we could see, like, I'd be interested in seeing what kind of questions she formed and how that.
I heard you say maybe the possibility of getting community service, maybe offering like a mentorship piece. I was thinking if it was maybe, a bulletin announcement in the high school or a blurb in the newsletter that said you were looking for this and saying something like teachers in the school bulletin can nominate someone to like meet and find out more about the process. Parents can nominate kids to be this leadership role. I think if you added community service credit, or we've had like our independent studies, our flexible pathways coordinator, if there's any way it could be incorporated into, you know, a class, a mentorship, a job shadow, that could be a deal breaker for some kids who need it. And, you know, all kids could use more adult mentors. So it might be like something that's really a win-win.
Yeah.
Thinking about that. Kids who just don't get to take certain classes because it doesn't work for them and they work at a different flexible pathway avenue or an independent study avenue. I'm thinking about it in that way.
Can you remind me, I can reach out,
Kim Gogan, flexible pathway.
Kim Gogan, yeah. How do you spell it?
GOGAN.
G-O-G.
so the student board questions, so she asked the same questions at a different grade level each month. So
Okay.
she did like theme of the month and general news, and then she asked the kids what projects they were working on or enjoyed, and then she asked what went the best for you this was November. What is one thing that happened in November that you wish could happen again in December? And if you could choose one word to describe November, what would it be? So then she would report out on what the kids in the elementary school said. So she would just repeat those each month at a different grade level. It was great.
And she'd give out all the findings and, yeah.
That's a skill in itself
Yeah.
to be able to like, come out and to present in front of people.
Yeah, she
That's
was wonderful.
yeah, it's amazing.
I think, are there any final comments on that? I know we're just about 6:57. I was like, that's after time. It's a little after 8. If there are no comments on that, thanks again for another great discussion. I certainly have some tasks. I'll touch base with Kim Gogan on that, and I'll talk to Kate about dropping in and chatting with some students and trying to build up some excitement about that. But yeah, hopefully we'll get some interest in some.
Thinking about like how much contact, like if it were like a community service thing, like how many hours it could be up to, that could be like a deal breaker for kids.
Sure. Yep, and I think, I think it's one way to do it. I think, again, a lot of these, I think the discussions have been maybe more helpful than the specific actions this meeting, as we're kind of early on, but I think having it be contact hours is great. Alternately, I do wonder if that kind of the other path of having it be asynchronous on your own time, engaging in that way. So it's more to think about. It's good conversation. All right. Last but not least, recertification fee.
Yeah, this came up at the SU board meeting, and Davis wanted to just quickly talk about it here. This is so to keep your teaching credentials, your licensing, you have to pay a fee every so many years, and that fee changes depending on whether you're a level 1 or a level 2 teacher, administrator, whatever endorsement you hold, and teachers can hold multiple endorsements, and many do. So it did come up. I don't think it came up in negotiations, did it? No, but it came up somewhere, and
I think Elizabeth brought it up because she had heard that fees had gone up.
yes, that's right. Thanks,
Yeah.
Bill. And it does belong in negotiations, although we just negotiated a contract for 3 years, so it is.
Well, and the perception I got, Christie, you can probably back me up, is small benefits like this were not a real interest of the teachers this time around.
Right.
Because their interest was inflation and that.
Yep.
And so whenever we tried to sweeten the pot with other small sort of benefits, they weren't really interested in that. They just
Yeah.
wanted to get down to nitty-gritty. And the fact is, I mean, after these 3 years, we've added $1 million to teach a salary. So we gave them a significant bump. And from all I've heard, they're quite pleased. And they feel validated. They feel they feel loved, basically. And so it was a very satisfying experience. And I hesitate to sort of reopen it for this small amount, but I think we should be open to the next negotiations to sort of review this as something that we may be able to pick up.
What is
So
the amount of the fee or the range of the fees?
I mean, it depends on what level, and I don't know what it went up to. It's not a lot of money. It's a couple $100 every 5 years
Per endorse.
Per endorse.
And that's different than other states, right? So
Yeah.
other states, you can pay like a blank fee and then, so in Massachusetts, you pay $125 for your first and $25 for every additional.
Right.
For here, it's like $125 for every, I'm
Yeah.
giving out that number, for every single endorsement. So why would I ever do that? Because that's $600 every time I have to renew versus just get the one, right? And that's a lot. It builds up when you want people to have a variety of skills and
Yeah.
capacity. And when you're talking about the state of Vermont's process, it requires you, every endorsement is counted as like your first endorsement. That's expensive.
Yeah.
The way, it worked when I was in SAU 6, I think you too, right? Or your wife, we could, if we were up for, relicensure, we could use part of our allocated professional development money to pay that fee if we didn't spend it on other things. Like you had to be mindful, like, okay, I'm up this year, I need to save $150 out of my PD allocated funds to pay my research fee. So,
Yeah.
look at something like
And
that.
I'm not open to it. I just think that we just finished it.
Yeah.
Let's kind of,
I mean,
let's bring it back up for the next
Yeah.
negotiations. And I think it's a good way to support teachers who have multiple certifications, especially around special ed.
Mhm.
If we want a regular classroom teacher who also has a SPED certification. We want them to keep that just in case there's a need of.
Right.
That's amazing. I had no idea.
You gotta keep it up. I have to keep up my New Hampshire licensure as well.
Jeez,
Of course, I'm not on the same.
where does all
cycle.
that money go?
It goes to the state.
It goes to the state.
Agency of Education.
Yeah.
They've all over to do too.
And it's a little frustrating because the local districts, the LSD board does most of the work.
Yeah.
So. So,
No, they get a little bit of a stipend from the state.
yeah.
Do we, so we don't, sorry, I'm just for clarification. We don't cover any of the research fee right now? Okay. Okay, I was just curious, because I didn't know if it was just the price that was going up, we weren't covering, I just want to be clear.
They
No,
can't currently
no.
use their PD funds to cover it.
Right. Because that's not in the contract. Yeah.
What are PD?
Professional
Professional
development
development, to take classes, to take workshops, to go to conferences.
to keep your certification.
They do get some funds for that. Actually, we get a pretty good amount for that.
And I'm not saying that we shouldn't consider it. I'm just saying is I just don't want to reopen that can of worms after
Yeah.
having the contract signed. Finding out we missed a couple things already.
Fixing it.
Yeah, no, and I hear that, Bill, and I appreciate your perspective on that too. I mean, I think, negotiation season's negotiation season, and it's,
Put it on.
I'm glad that this has come up.
Yeah.
So I think it's something that we should
And
thinking about.
it gives us a time to begin to gather what the SU and individual school district goals are.
Mhm.
For example, your Jennifer's perspective, I didn't really click into that, is that there may be an advantage for teachers to have multiple certifications.
Especially in middle school.
So, but right now we're kind of at a tipping point of budget this year. But I think that takes some time and gather what the other districts want, what we want, and how the teachers feel about that. So,
And if I recall, this is more or less where we like to see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just,
I added it to the future negotiations list.
yeah, I mean, I think as far as action, that makes a lot of sense to me. It's, I think it's a conversation that I'm happy to have. It's something that I'm personally amenable to, but, just a negotiation item.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
All right.
Okay. Any last word on that? All right, hearing no further discussion. It's that time to set the next agenda. So, we know that school clerk update is gonna go on the next agenda. I will touch base with Elizabeth and just make sure that communication happens, and we can make some progress on that in October. Let's see, what else? Is there anything?
Yeah, I've got board onboarding.
Board on board, yeah, we can.
We'll talk again about the community outreach sessions.
Yep, yeah, I think we had a good discussion, maybe we can make decisions next month.
Budget committee update. I've got on here, I just put moderator just because we want to make sure we have one. So to remind us that I'm happy to reach out to Kate again.
Yeah, I think that makes the most sense. Let's start with Kate, and then, I have some ideas in my back
Okay.
pocket if she doesn't want to.
I've got an admin report and
Yep.
we're going to come, hopefully our star data is going to be finished and our goal is to come 3 times this year to do a student growth report, show you how the kids are doing.
Mhm.
I've got financials on here. It'll be end of Q1.
Did you get the board, self-assessment done again?
For the SU board.
Oh, that's it.
That's in a couple weeks, yeah. And then I do have, if Larry's ready, I know he and Jim are working on ABS 5-year facilities plan. An ABS 5-year facilities plan? Or is it?
I
Yeah,
think that's what we're talking
yeah,
about.
so that's on here as well. That's all I got.
We have the 4 dates for the student presentations in the year. One from Albert Bridge, one from.
Yes,
Oh, are they
Yep.
all on there already?
yeah,
Okay,
and, and that's, next month is K-5. We'll put Tracy right to the test. I will put that on
If you
our
want to
list.
write the date.
If you want to trade.
No, I'll just need some
What's the date?
background, but no, we can do it.
The 7th, October 7th.
I don't mind taking the first one because middle schoolers like to
You want to
send
Tracy?
about farm wilderness anyway.
Oh, yeah.
That'd be great.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'll change that.
Thank you.
Always fun to hear about, yeah.
So that'll be middle school.
I'll have it done.
Great way to kick it off though.
This might be an SU. But a food service update with all the changes, is that something we could get from, is that at the SU level? Not this
Yeah.
level?
Or at the SU level,
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's SU
Oh.
level.
unless it's particular to the. But I don't think it is, because
It probably isn't. I was just curious. I just
Yeah.
would like to hear, meet the new people.
Yeah.
Have a former relationship, I guess is what,
yeah, I think that would be, even if they chime in remotely for let's meet the.
do you want me to add that to October,
It is real.
in October or September?
We're in September.
This is October.
That way I can invite him. I can give him
Yeah.
some time.
if that's okay. I just
Yeah.
think it-
No, we used to do that with Craig.
Yeah.
Let's I know that we're gonna hit on the community engagement events, that we started the conversation about, and hopefully have some more concrete steps the next time. The one thing that we haven't really touched on in the board goals that we set was the outreach to inclusion of staff and board discussions. I think that kind of bookends with the community conversations and events, just not even part of our community. But, if we could just put an item on that.
Okay, sorry, I was doing his item. What did you say, David?
Totally cool. It's from the FY25 board goals. Let's just pop the outreach to inclusion of staff and board discussion. So
Outreach to inclusion of staff, okay,
yeah, or just staff engagement, something like that. I think it, again, it bookends with the community engagement stuff we talked about, but I think that we want to have some specific time to just
got it.
talk about how we can better engage our staff.
Done.
Cool. I think that's good. And then onboarding, the only thing I'll just plug off the rough for onboarding, that it is a standing item. I got rid of it this month because I'm still working on it. It's also something that is of lesser urgency until we get towards the point where we need to onboard somebody, but that's all I gotta say. I don't want to, we have plenty to talk about anyway. It's not burning a hole in anyone's pocket.
No, that's great.
Who's up for election this year?
You,
And then,
we're the same.
You asked.
Surprise.
That's why you asked. You knew I was about to.
All right,
the last time I did get signatures.
Right.
excellent. Any need for executive session?
No.
Not hearing any. All right. In that case, it sounds like we have, do you mind just reading back to me what we got, Christine?
I sure can.
Excellent.
I've got administrative report with a student presentation from middle school and a student growth report and the quarterly financials, items for discussion, action, board onboarding, school clerk update, moderator, I'll put that on my list, community outreach sessions, budget committee update, ABS 5-year facilities plan, and staff engagement with the board.
Hearing that all in a row, let's
There's
just,
a lot.
let's preemptively not do onboarding. Because again, it's
Take that
not,
off. Okay.
it's not supervision right now. I'll keep working on it. I'll give you an update when we have it, but yeah, we don't need to.
Are we talking about the next MASD?
Yeah.
Do I say SU?
You did.
That's in middle school, yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Sounds good. No need for executive session. At this time, I will take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Nancy got it. Thank you. Second.
I'll give it to Nancy.
This,
Adjourn.
do you, board
Second, we
members,
still got it.
are you getting the school blast every? Okay, somehow I just dropped off, my whole family is. Oh.
Yeah.
So I get it from ABS, I just don't get it from high school. I said something to Kate, but I'm still not.
All right, we have adjourned. So
Oh.
motion to adjourn. Second, all those in favor of adjourning, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And I see Amy raise her hand. We are adjourned at 8:19 PM. Appreciate the extra 20 minutes waiting for 8.
Only 19.